You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Hit the wrong button there. Sorry, folks. Here we are. So I wanted to revisit some stuff we discussed yesterday. And so number one, we showed how AI handles safety, at least in our normal era, where we actually went out and we took a picture from one of our projects. We put it through AI, so tell us what you see, and you judge for yourself. Check out the program. Some of it got right, some of it got wrong, some of it, again, you hear a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a picture does not give you context. Same way AI does not give you context on what's going on. That's really where the debate is. Where's the context? The other thing is this: people do not like to be watched all day long. They just don't. Cars represent privacy. Think about all the stuff you do in a car. You turn on the radio, and you're not listening to Safety FM and Safety Wars and all the great programs we have on here. What are you doing? You're listening to music. And maybe if you're alone, that music is something you're not going to listen to anywhere else. Maybe you're listening to talk radio. That's not where you're going to listen to anything else. You have some privacy. You have some anonymity. Remember, when you were a teenager. Maybe you were in college. Maybe you were out of college. The things that you would do with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Right? In the car. Privacy. Sammy Hagar has a song on privacy in your car. All this stuff goes on. It's partly American culture here. Now we're going to have a camera in the car, and you're going to have a fitness to drive app on there, which may or may not know the context of what you're dealing with or anything else. And now they're saying, well, we're not going to have enough time to put that in there. And okay, great. Maybe it's rather than say we're not going to meet our deadline, maybe a question has to be revisited because a lot of stuff has happened the last 5 years with COVID, a lot of the other things in culture that, do we really want this technology? I realize there's 11,000 deaths out there. I realize that. And this is, we should do it. We should do that. We should have this control fitness to drive app. I get it. But how many other things are out there that kill more people that we don't do that to? Or is this a gateway regulation? Like a gateway drug? I don't know. I don't think that there was enough debate. I think after 5 years of this, of what we're going through here, COVID and post-COVID, with the public health system and a lot of the other things going on out there, I think it's a valid question to go and reevaluate that. Something we mentioned at the end of the program, I didn't know our listenership drops off at the end of the program, is on UFOs. So there was right when they're talking disclosure. And this is something that I've been hearing since about 1996, and actually before that. I've had a lifelong interest in this stuff. Goes back to a Reader's Digest book, Strange Stories and Amazing Facts. And I went to the library there in Woodbridge, and we used to get out all the stuff that they had on the subject. I mean, what would I do with the internet today if I was that age? It's mind-blowing. You have the whole world at your fingertips, and what do we do? Right? What does the average person do? Sports, entertainment, and porn. People do. You got, we have a potential, especially with the advent of AI. Responsible user, you have mind-blowing things. What will we do? I don't know. But they're talking disclosure, and there's a lot of questions out there, and reportedly the FBI and other government officials went out there. They're talking about with the churches and everything. What's gonna? You gotta prepare your flock. I haven't heard about them going to synagogues or mosques or anything like that. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I just haven't heard about it. Talking about this and what it might mean. So I'm going to go right now. I mentioned it last night, but we're going to go on it again because it didn't really come out as well as I wanted to with the video and everything. Now, the audio is fine. Video, not so much. So we're going to talk about Christianity and space aliens and try to give a little bit of a perspective to this, at least my perspective, often, right? So the context that I'm approaching this to, right, and I'm not being paid by any religious organization or anything else, is I'm a member of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. You can go lcms.org, look up what exactly we believe. And let's talk about this, right? There's a war on for your safety, and tonight maybe for your theology too. because we're going somewhere unusual tonight. Space aliens, little green men, flying saucers, advanced civilizations, UFO disclosure, government hearings, recovered craft, ancient astronaut theories. And by the way, tonight we're going to have a special for you, so listen up. And the question is, what happens to Christianity, specifically Lutheran Christianity, which I'm the most familiar with, if intelligent life exists somewhere else in the universe? Now, before anyone panics, let me clearly say this. The Lutheran Church, specifically Missouri Synod Lutheran Church, and no other Lutheran church that I know of, does not officially teach that aliens exist, but it also does not teach that they cannot exist. And that surprises people. A lot of people think Christianity teaches that Earth is the only inhabited place in creation. Not necessarily. The Lutheran perspective is actually pretty straightforward, restrained, and disciplined. God can create whatever he wants. If God wanted life on another planet, he could do it no problem. That doesn't threaten us and Christianity or anything like that. Why? Because the Bible was never intended to be an astronomy textbook. It's a salvation text. The scriptures are not primarily about Mars, they're about the cross. The Bible is focused on one thing, Jesus Christ crucified for sinners, and that's the center. And honestly, from a safety wars perspective, there's something more important here. Modern society is obsessed with hidden knowledge. Secret technology, government disclosure, the next revelation, the next existential threat. Conspiracy theories, conspiracy fact, predictions, whatever you name it, we're into it. But Christianity says the biggest problem in the universe is not aliens. It's sin. And that's uncomfortable because people would rather speculate about Area 51 than confront human nature. Now, here's where it gets fascinating, for me at least. If aliens exist, are they fallen creatures like us? Do they have sin? Do they experience death? Did Christ die for them too? Or did they never fall at all, maybe? Like in the Garden of Eden, the fall of man. See, Lutheran theology gets careful here because Scripture doesn't answer those questions directly. And Lutherans traditionally don't like inventing doctrine where Scripture is silent. And that's actually one of the strengths that I find in Lutheran theology. Instead of pretending certainty where none exists, it says, here's what God revealed. Beyond that, we should be very cautious. Frankly, the safety profession can learn from that. How many times have you watched people confidently speak about things that they don't know about? Whether they're investigators, consultants, executives, politicians. Everybody wants certainty. Few want truth. Lutheran theology has a built-in humility. If God didn't clearly reveal it, don't manufacture doctrine. Now another point. Christians already believe in non-human intelligences like many other religions. Think about that. Angels, demons, spiritual beings. The Bible is already a supernatural worldview, so the existence of another intelligent species somewhere in creation would not automatically shatter Christianity the way modern atheists would like or often claim. The real issue would be theological interpretation, and there is another warning here. Many conservative Christians, including many in the Missouri Synod, become very cautious when alien discussions drift into spirituality, occultism, channeling cosmic consciences, and replacing God with advanced beings. Why? Because human beings have always searched for substitutes for God. Ancient idols, kings, political systems, technology, and now perhaps extraterrestrials. And that's the real danger. But humanity turning aliens into a new religion, because humans are remarkably consistent. We always worship something. Now let's bring this on back to safety wars. In safety, we love talking about external threats. whether they're machines, chemicals, radiation, artificial intelligence, automation, surveillance systems, space debris, drones. But the biggest risk usually isn't out there somewhere. It's inside systems, inside culture, inside human decision making. And Christianity says something similar. The problem isn't merely external danger, it's the condition of the human heart. That's why no amount of technology has ever eliminated war, corruption, greed, deception, or abuse. We advance technologically faster than we advance morally. And that may be the most dangerous imbalance in human history. So if aliens exist, that's okay. Fine. They're still creatures, not gods, with a small g. And from a Lutheran point of view, the center of reality remains the same. Christ crucified, grace, mercy, redemption. Not UFOs, not disclosure hearings, not secret government programs. Because whether you're on Earth or hypothetically standing on some distant planet, the biggest question is still the same. What does it mean to be reconciled to God? This is Safety Wars, when the plan meets reality. And apparently tonight, where the theology meets the cosmos.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars, with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
We're going to go right on over to Featured Story News and see what they have going on there.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kate Fisher. US President Donald Trump says a meeting with Brazil's President Lula da Silva went very well, following months of bad blood and high tariffs. Brazil is looking to leverage its critical mineral reserves to reduce US tariffs on its goods. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
There was no public part to the Oval Office meeting, as was expected, but Donald Trump posted after the get-together that the meeting had gone very well. It follows months of anger on both sides. The Trump administration was frustrated by Brazil's conviction of former president and Trump ally Jair Bolsonaro and slapped the country with a 50% tariff rate, one of the highest faced by any country. That was pared back to 10% in February, but Brazil is trying to avoid the possibility of new tariffs being introduced. One bargaining chip, its huge reserves of critical minerals, something Donald Trump wants, and something Brazil might be able to use to leverage a reduction in its tariffs.
Airline company Lufthansa has announced that it's preparing for the possibility of refuelling stopovers should a jet fuel shortage continue. European supplies are at risk of running low due to the war in Iran and the disruption of fuel through the Strait of Hormuz. William Denslow reports from Brussels.
According to the airline CEO, Lufthansa isn't imminently preparing to add refuelling stops, but warns that preparations are underway. The carrier adds that fuel supplies through June are secured, but from then on, possible refuelling stops on routes to Asia and Africa might be needed. Jet fuel prices have more than doubled since the conflict in Iran began, and Lufthansa has already cut 20,000 flights, and the European Union says it's taking steps to ramp up procurement.
Shell has reported better than expected profits boosted by soaring energy prices as a result of the Iran war. Europe's biggest oil and gas company's profits more than doubled, echoing rivals including BP, drawing criticism from campaigners as rising energy costs hit households. Our UK correspondent Simon Gaitan reports.
Shell's $6.9 billion first quarter profits are its highest in 2 years and a 115% increase from $3.2 billion in the last 3 months of 2025. The increase mirrors similar gains for fellow British multinational BP, with both reporting strong oil trading results as a key factor in the elevated profits. Oil and gas prices have surged during the Iran war, with production and distribution in the Gulf disrupted by the conflict and the closure of the crucial Strait of Hormuz. The increasing profits posted by the energy companies has drawn criticism from campaigners as households struggle with higher fuel and energy prices, increasing calls for stronger windfall taxes on companies' profits.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, what is going on in US-German relations after Chancellor Friedrich Merz claimed the Iranians are humiliating the United States and enraged President Trump by also suggesting his war on Iran was started without any foundational plan and has no strategy for wrapping up. The US leader responded by announcing the withdrawal of at least 5,000 of more than 35,000 US troops stationed in Germany. Katja Hoyer is a German-British historian and author of the upcoming book Weimar, Life on the Edge of Catastrophe.
Donald Trump is deeply unpopular in Germany, and I think that has had an impact on the wider way in which Germans view America, and not least because it's no longer seen as a temporary blip, but actually a kind of structural change of the relationship between Germany and the US. There's always been quite a prominent streak of anti-Americanism in Germany as well, but it was never kind of large enough to form the identity, I would say, or shape the identity of post-war West Germany and then the unified Germany. And that, I fear, has become larger now because of the way that, the US is seen as less interested in Europe and Germany than it had been in the past.
Chancellor Merz is facing significant pushback from opposition leaders in Germany who, picking up on his own critique of the Iran war, say that the only humiliation taking place is that of Friedrich Merz at the hands of the US president. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
Our main news again. US President Donald Trump says a meeting with Brazil's President Lula da Silva went very well, following months of bad blood and high tariffs. Airline company Lufthansa has announced it's preparing for the possibility of refueling stopovers should a jet fuel shortage continue. And Shell has reported better than expected profits boosted by soaring energy prices as a result of the Iran war. And that's the latest feature story news. Kate Fisher reporting.
Thank you, Kate. So we're going to go to a brief commercial break here, and then we're going to get on back to you. Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that is designed to actually address and assess your hazards and liabilities and is not standardized baloney from generations ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call me, Jim Posel, at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you are receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. All right, so we are back. So let's talk about, we're going to be talking about religion from time to time. Now, as I've said multiple times, and I think I'm right on this one, the reason why we have so many issues is that people do not talk politics, religion, or money. So we are easily manipulated. And this whole thing, don't get this one wrong. When we don't talk about this stuff, we are easily controlled, and we don't know what other people are thinking. And my opinion, in general, especially with mainline denominations, they've done a real piss poor job on lately not getting involved in a lot of this stuff. As the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod does not normally get involved in politics at all. There are other branches of Lutheranism that do, so we're going to talk about it when appropriate, and it's not going to become a religious program, but as we know, some of the other programs on here do talk a little bit about religion from time to time, and guess what? We're going to do it here, and I'm going to be an advocate for my beliefs. Now, Hantavirus. When was the first time you folks have ever heard about Hantavirus? Been a long time out there, right? For me, I know I've heard about it going on for many, many, many years on that. But we always, and apparently here we have a ship, right? Here we have, now appears to be two ships, Rat virus outbreak sparks grim COVID. Well, now we're COVID flashbacks here. As anxious Canary Islanders race for an infected ship and ask, why us? Terrified Canary Islanders fear that they will not be able to cope when the rat virus cruise ship docks in Tenerife, as they suffer grim COVID flashbacks. The Hantavirus infected MV Hondias is steaming towards the Spanish archipelago, leaving locals anxious and scared. Right, and so here we have workers here pushing people. They're all dudded up in level D. Oh, well, no, they're wearing respirators. They're level C gear. I don't know what kind of respirators they're wearing. If they're wearing, hopefully this doesn't deteriorate down to we have the most dangerous virus in the world, and it's so dangerous we're going to wear face coverings. I hope we don't go down that road. Here, right? The rat virus cruise ship is due to arrive in Grandilla, Tenerife in the early hours of Sunday, but the ship will not dock and passengers are to be evacuated in small boats after port workers threaten to strike or block the port. Intensive care nurse David Hernandez told The Independent from the U.S. Sun he was gripped by fear when he heard the ship was heading towards the Canaries. He said, I thought, why us? Everyone will be scared by the uncertainty of the situation. This is bringing back flashbacks of the COVID-19 pandemic. We had a terrible time at the hospital then. 3 people have died and after being infected with the deadly virus, and at least 8 cases are suspected. Many or more are self-isolating after they disembarked the ship and traveled to home countries across the world, unaware that they could be contagious. Right, a cleaner in Santa Cruz told the BBC, it's not right that the boat is stopping here. The passengers should just be sent straight back to their countries. They could infect us like during the pandemic. And no, people are going haywire here and everything else. Let's read down in the article. We completely understand why these questions are coming out, but this is not the same situation we were in 6 years ago, said Dr. Maria Van Kerkhoff. This is not the start of a pandemic. She confirmed that there were no new symptomatic cases on the ship since 3 people were evacuated yesterday, adding morale has improved significantly since the ship started moving. Van Kerkhoff said the passengers were confined into their cabins, but a French passenger is still on board. The ship said that those left in the cruise ship do what we want on the boat. With no lockdown measures in place, she revealed that mask wearing is mandatory for the remaining passengers, but said that they all eat together at the restaurant. Passenger added there's social distancing, but it's only been in place for 3 days. We eat seated and a staggered pattern. Well, thank God they didn't forget how to do this, right? There was a big barbecue on the boat, as if nothing had happened, and going on with that. Now, they mentioned what this is, Hantavirus. Okay, great. Now, something I want to point out, I'm going to discuss exactly what this is, but let me point out, I've read articles, legit articles, from NIH going back many, many, many years, and about 10% of the mouse population, it's estimated in the United States, has Hantavirus, especially in southwestern United States out there. And that's why whenever I'm cleaning up, and believe me, I've had to do a lot of cleanups here lately, and we won't go into why. I'm always studded up when I'm dealing with this stuff, and bleach and disinfectant and everything else on the surfaces, because this is not such a good thing, right? So what is Hantavirus? Hantavirus is a rare but potentially deadly respiratory disease caused mainly by exposure to infected rodent urine, droppings, or saliva. How people get it. In the U.S., the primary carrier is the deer mouse. People usually become infected when sweeping rodent droppings, cleaning cabins and sheds. Believe me, I had a lot of experience cleaning cabins. opening long closed buildings, disturbing contaminated dust, handling nesting material, or working in crawl spaces, attics, or storage areas. The virus can become airborne in dust particles and be inhaled. Less commonly, it could come from rodent bites, touching contaminated surfaces, then touching the mouth, nose, and mouth, and hand-to-mouth contact, or contaminated food exposure. Common high-risk locations: cabins, barns, attic sheds, crawl spaces, vacant buildings, agricultural facilities, right? And this is going to be part of, I'm working on a presentation for next week at Rutgers. This will definitely be part of the discussion here because it's a hazard in emergency response. Now, some of the symptoms, they start to set in about 1 to 8 weeks after exposure. You're dealing with fever, fatigue, muscle aches, chills, headache, nausea and vomiting, and it often resembles the flu initially. After several days, it can rapidly progress into coughing, shortness of breath, right? Fluid buildup in the lungs, respiratory failure. This stage can become life-threatening very quickly. The fatality rate is roughly 30 to 40% in the United States, right? We're not going to talk about a clean-out procedure right here. And, all right, so let me here, hold on. How do you treat Hantavirus? So what's the treatment for it? This is similar to the COVID situation and other viruses. No specific cure or antiviral medication that reliably eliminates hantavirus when someone becomes seriously ill. At least no one's figured out how to make a buck on it. We'll say that much. The goal is to support the patient, right, while the body fights the infection. So what are some of the common treatments? Oxygen therapy. Again, I'm not a medical professional. I'm just reading websites here. Legit websites. Patients develop severe breathing difficulty because fluid accumulates in the lungs. Treatment may include supplemental oxygen, high-flow oxygen, or ventilator support. In severe cases, you may end up in the ICU and get blood pressure support, cardiac monitoring, and respiratory management. Some patients require some type of aid in breathing. So is there an antiviral? Right? The official thing is that they treat it with ribavirin, but in the U.S., hantavirus pulmonary syndrome cases, results have been limited and is not considered standard proven treatment. Antibiotics do not use to treat it, and if patients survive the acute lung phase, recovery is possible, but weakness and fatigue can persist for months. So what do you do? Wear proper PPE, do a hazard assessment, and everything else that goes into that. Any type of rodent droppings are very, very dangerous. I treat them as such. And that's what I'm going to say about hantavirus with that. So, right. So now this is from the Wall Street Journal. Everybody's freaking out here. Inside the global effort to figure out where hantavirus will strike next, health authorities, airlines, and the operator of the MV Hondias cruise ship are mobilizing to contain the threat of the pathogen that has killed 3. Right, and right now they're getting some reports from on board the ship, and it's varied reports here. So as of now, the virus isn't as infectious between humans as fast-spreading respiratory illnesses as COVID-19 and the flu. And it's a family of viruses caused by rodents and spread to humans through contact. Human-to-human transmission of this strain of hantavirus requires very close contact, like sharing food or living quarters, according to Stephen Bradfruit, an immunologist at the University of New Mexico Health Sciences Center, whose lab has sequenced hantaviruses. It doesn't spread into huge outbreaks. right? And if we recall from, and it's not saying this here, is that if it kills you quick, and if it's a quick virus, you go over, no, right? You get sick quick, and it's over quick, right? And you are able to handle it. No, it does not spread as much. The problem is when you have an attenuated virus of some sort, that you have a problem here. And of course, they're doing tracking of all the individuals and everything else here that are with that. They're going to do contact tracing already, which is standard fare for everything. Now we're going to go into some other news here, but I wanted to say we have a new section here, a new thing on Safety Wars. We have produced a series. So some of my friends saw the video on my personal website. We're putting it on, or my personal Facebook page. We're going to be putting it on all the other social media ones. And our web series is called Ancient Safety Professionals, where we have, it's a little bit of sci-fi. Right, we've heard of Ancient Aliens, that TV series. We're trying to get the Greek guy out here with the crazy hair. Maybe I'll get a wig and we'll have crazy hair and I'll be talking about it. And it's about the things traditionally that we're taking on the sacred cows of safety. Let me put it to you that way. I'll be with this. And again, a little bit tongue-in-cheek humor as usual, but something to think about. So this is Ancient Safety Professionals, the premiere episode, episode 1. They thought signatures would make you safe.
In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the ancient safety professionals practiced many strange rituals. Among the most sacred was the ritual of the sign-in sheet. Archaeologists now believe the ancient people thought that writing one's name on paper created safety. The document itself was believed to possess mystical powers. If inspected by regulatory officials, the tribe could present the sheet as evidence that safety had occurred.
Watch your pinch points, stay hydrated, PPE at all times, sign the sheet.
Historians remain uncertain whether information was actually transferred during these ceremonies. Curiously, despite perfect paperwork, incidents continued to occur.
The ancient safety culture often confused documentation with operational control.
The lesson for modern civilization is clear. Safety is not created by signatures. It is created by systems, planning, communication, and reality-based controls.
For more thought-provoking discussions on safety, human performance, and where the plan meets reality, tune into Safety Wars on your favorite podcast and videocast platform, because there's a war on for your safety.
All right, so we still have to edit a lot of this here, but the audio is good. We're going with the audio here. So what do you think? Drop me a line, jim@safetywars.com, or text me at 845-269-5772. Better yet. All right, we're going to be taking on the sacred cows. We have several episodes in the can, so to speak, and no, we'll be releasing them. Now, Department of Labor news here. So it being Thursday, what normally happens? We have Unemployment Insurance Weekly Claims Report. Let's click on that. So here we have the Unemployment Insurance Weekly Claims Report. And guess what? It's gone down a little bit. Seasonally adjusted claims, they've gone down. Well, guess what? They always seem to be going from between 200 and 250,000 with the new claims here. And we're on track with this, all right? Not seasonally adjusted initial claims. They're pretty much the same. They're tracking from the prior year to the current year. So take it for what it's worth. And, of course, these numbers are always, what am I saying? They're always adjusted here. So I wouldn't put too much faith in them, to be honest with you folks. U.S. Department of Labor recovers $171,000 in back wages for 32 workers shortchanged overtime pay by a Hawaii Rehabilitation Services employer. The U.S. Department of Labor has recovered $171,897 in back wages from a physical therapy and rehabilitation clinic after an investigation determined the employer denied 32 employees full overtime pay at 3 of its facilities in violation of federal law. Investigators with the department's Wage and Hour Division determined first, physical and function rehab failed to combine hours worked across its 3 locations in, we're going to love the pronunciation here, Wahaiwa, Wahananei, and Waipahu, resulting in some workers not receiving overtime compensation. The Federal Labor Standards Act requires employers to pay workers time and 1/2 of their regular rate of pay for all hours worked over 40 in a week. In addition to back wages, the employers also paid $18,810 in civil money penalties because of the willful nature of the violations. And here is a quote from Acting District Director Patrick Candoletta in Honolulu. Employers must abide by federal laws and ensure that workers are fully compensated for all hours worked, said Wage and Hour, right? We will continue to hold employers accountable to help to ensure that compliance is a priority in every workplace. We will also offer compliance assistance to help employers who seek it avoid violations of overtime requirements and other wage and hour rules. First Physical and Functional Rehab operates under the names of Wahiawaha Rehab Services, Winnie Valley Physical Therapy, and Waipahu Physical Therapy Incorporated. So, check out the website. They're on there. And let's remember, everybody is innocent till proven guilty here. Okay, what else we got here? Let's head on over to EPA News because, at the beginning of the program we say we're not usually involved in this. So, well, and that's true, but today we're like a little tangentially involved with one of these stories here. This is from EPA News. EPA cleanup paves the way for Quarry Lawn Park reopening in Paterson, New Jersey. Quarry Lawn Park in Paterson, New Jersey has reopened to the public as a result of the U.S. EPA's extensive cleanup work to address asbestos and lead contamination at the former Allied Textile Printing site. So, in Paterson, New Jersey, that was the silk capital of America, right? And that's where a majority of the textile manufacturing and processing had taken place in the United States. And how do I know all this about Paterson? I had an office across the street from this park. And I've been to that park many, many, many times, and they've had huge cleanups there. And that's where the old Morris Canal was, and that's where they, I believe it was the first submarine experiment was right over there behind the restaurant. Was a world-famous restaurant, diner, that closed. But anyway, thanks to COVID. But that was right over there, right? They used to have really good food, except for the potato salad. The potato salad sucked. But anyway, EPA Regional Administrator Michael Martucci joined the city of Paterson and other officials today marked the park's reopening after months of coordinated work to remove serious hazards and stabilize the site, allowing the community to regain access to the park ahead of the summer season. And this is from Michael Martucci. The work is about getting a secure, usable park back in the hands of the Paterson community. And a great example of EPA's work and to provide clean land for people to work and cooperatively will at all levels of government. Let me read that again. And a great example of EPA's work to provide clean land for people and to work cooperatively with all levels of government, it should say. EPA, I think they put AI on this. EPA worked closely with the city to remove immediate risks so families can return here for recreation while we complete the remaining work. Now, if you look here on the screen, these are the Patterson Falls here. My brother, unfortunately, I do not have, he had a beautiful picture of this on his computer before he passed away. I never got a chance to download it or have it emailed here. But this is actually really good. You wouldn't think New Jersey has waterfalls, but New Jersey has waterfalls. And by the way, the Morris Canal used to go right above here. You go there, the old Morris Canal is right there. It goes right behind the Burger King. The last time I was there. EPA began work under its Superfund program at the site in June 2025 to address hazards associated with the former Allied textile printing facility, including asbestos-containing materials and lead-contaminated debris. Crews dismantled a deteriorating smokestack brick by brick, removed contaminated soils, and stabilized remaining structures to reduce the risk. So, yes, that is a familiar-looking smokestack there, and you can see where it's leaning over there. Right, so they have two people in boom lifts, also known as MEWAPs. Right, interior and exterior views of unstable building sections of the former factory there. And here, forbidden access. They give you a link, and there's forbidden access on there. So, again, yes, so we do have a big waterfall in New Jersey. Who would have thought there? I remember, so this is all part, the river, the Passaic River was all part of the Morris Canal system. There was, right, so the Morris Canal went above this. New Jersey had an extensive canal system from the Delaware River to across North Jersey and would end over at the Meadowlands. That's where the Jets play. And up until about 20 years ago, you could still see where a lot of this stuff is. But what happened was they had and the screw conveyor and the ramps are still there, where they used to put the boats on, the barges for this whole thing. It's still there. It's pretty impressive. But I remember distinctly my father taking us on our, I believe it was the American Fin in 1973, where we took we went up the Patterson River. Why would you do that, right? Or the Passaic River, I should say. Why would you do that? Why? Because we were adventurous people, I suppose. Full of adventure. And this is one of the things. We went all the way up to the conveyor, up by Route 21. I distinctly remember it. And up until fairly recently, there was a culture there on the Passaic River, and they had clubs and everything else there. Now, of course, people call me during the program after I repeatedly told them not to. So we're going to go right now over to a commercial break. Let me find out what's going on the phone there. So we'll put another.
Stop blaming yourself for workplace accidents. Your safety is being exploited. Imagine being publicly humiliated, yelled at, and forced to admit to mistakes you never made. Welcome to the world of safety struggle sessions. Originally from the Chinese Cultural Revolution, these sessions were nightmarish spectacles. Intellectuals and so-called enemies of the state were dragged through the mud, verbally and physically abused, all to break their spirit and force conformity. Fast forward to today. In some workplaces, this sinister tactic is making a comeback. Employers push employees to confess to safety violations, deflecting blame from themselves. Imagine the psychological toll, the stress, the fear, the constant pressure. But here's the truth. Your safety should never be weaponized against you. Stand up, speak out, and don't Don't let struggle sessions become your reality. Let's expose the brutal truth and demand a safer, more just workplace. Want to dive deeper into workplace safety? Check out the Safety Wars podcast by Jim Posel on Safety FM and your favorite podcast platforms. Stay safe, stay informed.
All right. You gotta love these spam calls non-stop. Okay, we're at a roughly, how many minutes? 48 minutes, roughly past the hour. We're doing pretty good here. I think, at least, we're doing pretty good here on what we want to talk about. As usual, there's 1,000,001 stories out there. Let's see what else we got going on at the EPA website here. All right. An update on a story we did on here. Right ahead of schedule, EPA fully achieves Potomac River recovery goals. Federal response to collapse complete in time for America 250 celebrations, so the whole town doesn't smell like Wuvno. U.S. EPA has accomplished its remediation of the Potomac interceptor collapse and fully demobilized the federal presence on site, finishing months ahead of upcoming America 250 festivities and delivering on the agency's commitment to restore the Potomac to pre-collapse conditions. Right, and on March 14, wastewater flow was restored to the Potomac Interceptor, a full week ahead of schedule, allowing ongoing work to focus on environmental remediation, led by the EPA in coordination with FEMA, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, God help us all, National Park Service, and other federal partners. Remediation activities included water and soil sampling, raking and removing contaminated material, including sewage-impacted soils, covering disturbed soil with seed mix and erosion control blankets, removing branches, fallen trees, brush, and debris. That was probably not from this incident, but needed to be done nonetheless. DC Water continues targeted soil remediation between locks 10 and 11 out of the C&O Canal, with completion expected by the end of May. Here, and now we're going to talk about the Stafford Act at one point here. Because I tell you what, we're a little bit too late here. No, there were a lot of complaints during COVID on the Stafford Act. And once the pandemic was over, nobody thought of going back and fixing them. Right? With that. What else we have? Again, here we have the U.S. and Iran trade fire in Straits of Hormuz. From day to day, things are going back and forth on this whole thing. And the stock market and other financial markets show it. Here, again, I'm advocating, as usual, for peace. I don't want to see anybody hurt. I don't want to get here, apparently... U.S. launches strikes on key Iran port in response to unprovoked attacks and major escalation during the fragile ceasefire. This is from the U.S. Sun. Donald Trump's military, not the American military, not the military of the United States, Donald Trump's military. Do you like the way that's framed? That's not his military. Has unleashed on Iranian forces in the Strait of Hormuz during a midnight attack, as several blasts were reported in the region. I don't believe Donald Trump would even call him Donald Trump's military, not his military. Explosions rocked in Qasem Port and Bandar Abbas in the Strait of Hormuz on Thursday night, with Iranian media confirming there had been an exchange of fire. And then you have some rising smoke. Right? So Iran says that we shot first. U.S. CENTCOM said they struck first. The reported Iran attack came while U.S. Navy guided missile destroyers were transiting the Strait of Hormuz to the Gulf of Oman, according to the U.S. military. Iranian forces launched multiple missiles, drones, and small boats as USS Truxtun, USS Rafael Peralta, and the USS Mason transited the international sea passage. No U.S. assets were struck. So I think the most apropos description here of the whole thing, Right? And by the way, there's a Chinese-owned tanker that lit on fire for no apparent reason. I think the most accurate thing to describe here is that the Iranian military is not in this to win. They're in this to survive, and that's a totally different warfare. Right? And I'm not a military guy, but I'm going to tell you this is what I know about anything. Playing sports, playing chess, right? I was in the chess club in high school, played many games like this, games of strategy. If you're going to be on a defensive war, as much can last a lot longer than an offensive war for someone. Again, World War II, Russia, defensive war, right? And then once the tide turned, then it was not a defensive war. Here we have a situation where a lot of the folks over there, and I've been reading about this for, like my entire life, more than UFOs, is that the random Islam in Iran, they believe in their Messiah coming under the right conditions, and it's their, no, this is what the people, the leaders believe, not necessarily people. I'm not an expert on Islam, but they need to set the stage for their Messiah to come. And this feeds right into that whole thing with this here. But as usual, I'm going to support the American military as much as I can with this and support their mission, regardless of who's in charge and what that mission is. Here, we can't be against the military in this country. We got to support the military. We got to love the military. We got to make sure that it is able to do the best that they can under the circumstances. So that's what I got for tonight for Safety Wars. And we are going to exit out right about now. Towards the tail end of this, we might have some other stuff going on. I'm with this, and I don't want to start anything new here. Let's go to bank number 1. All right, there we go.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion. The book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.